Oh man, we're making lightsabers. For this build, I used EVA wait, hang on. Did I? No. Wow. Wacky. Craft foam, PVC pipe, PVC cutter, PVC end cap, or a rubber furniture foot because my local hardware store is the worst. Seriously, who doesn't have a 1 1/4 inch PVC end cap? It's ridiculous. A drill, core driver, wood, various knurled greeblies, paint, painter's tape, foil tape, model kit sprues, super glue, hot glue, an LED, rotary tool or a belt sander, safety gear, scissors, razor pens or a box cutter, and a red kyber crystal. Bled from a fallen Jedi. First I drew the shape of the outermost casing on a piece of scrap PVC pipe, shading the areas that I don't want to keep. Then I drilled holes in the side, starting with a small drill bit for the pilot hole so that the large drill bit wouldn't walk on me. I did this before cutting out the shapes that I drew so as not to compromise the structural integrity of the pipe. God damn, for real? Luckily, I had enough scrap PVC pipe to try this again, but this time much more gently. Then I cut out the rest of the shape using a narrow rotary tool bit. I refined the edges on my belt sander. Then I cut the long section using a PVC cutter. Sometimes those come out slanted, so I refined that on my belt sander as well. Then I found a slightly narrower pipe that would fit just inside the larger ones and marked where the outer pipe should go as well as the opening for the crystal chamber. I again used the rotary tool to cut that opening. Hey, you want to know why I don't use in-cam audio? Yeah, how'd that be for 4 minutes straight? Oh wait, I time-lapse it too. It'd be more like this. Lovely. I make resin castings of graflex buttons, and every now and then one of them has a flaw and I can't sell it, so I'm using these two failures for the greeblies on the Starkiller saber because it was clearly based off Luke's graflex saber. So I super glued the sanded one to the bottom and the spare from the Empire saber video to the top. There's kind of a roll cage to the crystal chamber, so I made those bars out of sprues from old model kits and glued them in with model glue. I went outside to paint the core black, then I came back in and set it in this jar so it would stay upright while it dried fully. Oh hey look, it's an Orville gun. And now a message from our sponsors. It's Patreon. Patreon is the sponsor. So technically it's you guys. So right now my Patreon is covering the cost of the materials that I build my props out of, which is great. I'll always be able to afford materials for these builds. But it doesn't compensate me for the time. So I can only do these videos in my off hours. If my Patreon ever gets to... Oh no. Oh. That's why you should support me on Patreon, because Patreon keeps the lights on. And I don't have enough. Okay, let's fix this. Cut on picture, cut on sound. What if I just did the whole thing by holocron light? Forget Patreon. This video is powered by the dark side. I don't know, that kind of proves my point, actually. So yeah, I'd like to thank the new patrons, Kendrick and Night Gig Studios. It's because of you that I can do these videos at all. If it ever got to the point where an actual percentage of my subscribers were supporting me on Patreon, then I could do these videos full time, I could take more of your suggestions, and I wouldn't have ridiculous equipment failures like that. I probably do giveaways too. Yeah, you know what? If my Patreon gets to the point where I can do this full time, then I'll do prop giveaways because I'll actually be able to afford to do that. Anyway, if you can help out, fantastic. If not, I get it. All right, now back to the build. Okay, so now I'm just simulating graflex rabbit ears using scrap plastic and sliding them into these notches that I cut with my rotary tool. For the rectangular detail, I cut a small piece of wood, sanded it smooth on the belt sander, and then put a curve in one side with the cylindrical rotary tool bit so that it would sit flush against the side of the saber. I glued it on with super glue and clamped it in place to dry, and I marked where the circular details would go. Okay, so those details are normally made with a pop riveter, and I do have a pop riveter, but I don't have enough rivets, and I am not going back to that hardware store. So I simulated those rivets using a dab of hot glue, and before the glue solidified, I took the end of a paintbrush, soaked it in WD-40, and pressed it in the center, waiting for it to solidify before I removed it. Wow, I'm actually amazed that worked. Like, that was a last-ditch effort to keep me from leaving the house. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but it's 0 degrees outside right now. There are no degrees. Cue flame war from people who are stationed in Antarctica and for some reason watching my videos. Or Norway, I suppose. It's cold there, right? Anyone watching from Norway? Or Sweden? The land of the midnight sun? Then I painted the outer casing parts using chrome automotive silver. For the kyber crystal, I needed yet another core piece, so I cut a length of even narrower PVC pipe with a PVC cutter. Then I hot glued the kyber crystal in one end. I shouldn't have done that, because now I need to paint it, so I wrapped the kyber crystal in painter's tape, painted it black, and then slowly removed the tape, and yep, exactly what I was afraid of happening totally happened. Some of the paint snuck under the tape because it's an uneven surface. Okay, so I guess that side's gonna go on the inside of the saber. All right, so if you guys are doing this, paint it black first and then put in the kyber crystal. The black paint on the earlier core piece is dry now, so I painted some copper details on the roll bars. I put this furniture foot on the end of the saber, cut a hole in it, and attached this thumb screw to the bottom. I cut a hole and a notch in the bottom of the innermost pipe for this red LED dongle to go into. I fitted inside the whole assembly and did a lighting test. Nice. I attached the outer casing using craft foam spacers to hold them on. I actually didn't need to go all the way around because it was a bit tighter of a fit than I suppose it needed to be, but you know, works just the same. I also did a copper band on one end of the saber using paint and a silver band at the top with foil tape, which I think is what they originally used in New Hope to hide the Graflex logo on Luke's saber. Useless movie trivia! It occurs to me that I could have done the whole thing in foil tape like I did with the Kanan Jarrus saber build, but I didn't. I don't know, I guess I'm just saying this isn't the only way to do this, this is just one way to do this. Now for the grip. I made it by gluing thin strips of craft foam to the handle. I painted a strip of black near the base of the hilt. For the activation switch, I used one of the rivet castings that I made during the kryptonite build, sanded it a little shorter, painted it black, and waited for that to dry. This is kind of a weird spot for a saber button to me, but I guess in the game he holds it specifically like that. So with that fighting style, it works, I guess. I suppose it would make it harder for like an enemy to pick it up and use his own weapon against him, you know? I might be overthinking this. What? A Star Wars fan overthinking the minutiae of the franchise? And lastly, I superglued on these metal contacts to simulate where the wire connector pins would go on an actual graflex. And that's it. All right, let's get a spinny shot. Oh yeah, spin it up. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to try this build out using exactly the same parts as me, I'm selling the saber buttons and the kyber crystals in my Etsy store, link below. I ended up dropping the prices of the kyber crystals because shipping and handling used to be insane for me, and I just now figured out how to cut exactly $4 off of it. So yeah, it has to do with the bureaucracy of the city I'm currently living in, but found a loophole. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this and want to see more. And what's your favorite lightsaber from Legends or side canon, preferably one that I haven't built yet? Let me know in comments below. Jake out. It runs on dark side energy, also known as 6 AA's.